Please subscribe.
The all-new 450,000 pounds, 216 miles per hour Ford GT very nearly didn't happen. That's because, to begin with, the manufacturer was planning to build a front-engine Mustang, not a mid-engine GT. How so? Well, back in 2013, Ford hatched its plan to return to the Le Mans 24 Hours as a factory team 3 years later, in order to celebrate 50 years since its now famous GT40 victory at the legendary race in 1966. And at the time, the Mustang was the car the company most wanted to promote. Trouble was, that car proved to be difficult, if not impossible, to engineer into a competitive racing car while still being identifiable as a Mustang. So, after a year of trying to make it work, the manufacturer ditched the idea, and that was that. Except that the team which had been responsible for the terminated Mustang Le Mans project then formed a top-secret plan of its own, to build an all-new GT on the quiet, with neither the permission nor knowledge of the manufacturer's bosses. The plan was to slowly turn that very model into a full-blown racer instead. At the same time, they also built a clandestine road car in tandem with the racer. And at 2015's North American Auto Show in Detroit, having finally been green-lighted by the board, the all-new Ford GT was unveiled. At this point, the world of lightweight, super-exclusive supercars went into meltdown, understandably so, given how neat, tremblingly beautiful this car is from every angle. This also explains why, fundamentally, the new Ford GT is really a racing car at heart. At its core sits a full carbon fiber tub with inboard pushrod suspension at both ends. The 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox is integrated into the rear suspension, just as it is in any serious mid-engine racing car, and the engine itself is a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 with a pure competition background. It produces 638 bhp at 6,250 revolutions per minute and 747 Nm of torque at 5,900 revolutions per minute. All in, the GT weighs less than 1,400 kilograms without fluids or a driver. The brakes feature massive carbon ceramic discs at each corner, and as you'd expect, it is as slippery as they come through the air. In fact, parked next to a Ferrari or McLaren, the tiny frontal area makes even those cars look bulky. The GT also features a computer-controlled aerodynamic package that, Ford claims, provides less drag and more downforce than just about any other rival at this price. Plus it has an air brake that deploys during big stops, which is again computer-controlled to provide assistance but only when it is genuinely needed. In total, a mere 1,000 GTs will be built over the next 3 years, and only around 40 will find homes in the UK. As you can imagine, the buying criteria is suitably strict, designed to reward loyalty to the brand, and to the GT specifically. An application process was launched last year for those inclined to purchase a car, but with so few available, Ford had to choose buyers very carefully. For instance, if you bought one of the last generation GTs but have since sold it, there will be no new car for you. That's how exacting Ford is being with model allocation. And in a way, you can understand why it doesn't want speculators to purchase this car. It wants the new GT to be bought, driven and enjoyed in public, and for it to be gawped at by as many people as possible. This is no garage queen, and rightly so. In that case, what does the all-new Ford like to drive? Utterly wonderful in most respects, but with a couple of caveats about its on-road performance that might well surprise you, because they did us. Remember, after all, this is a road car designed around a hardcore racer. You climb in via a semi-dihedral door. Because the car is so low, you basically aim your legs towards the footwell and your backside at the seat. Hoping for the best, you simply tumble into the cabin. The fixed seat base is integrated into the tub, so to get comfortable need to move the pedals and wheel towards you, as in a la Ferrari. However, the GT's seat back moves as well, meaning anyone of any size can get comfortable behind the big, square-edged steering wheel, which is, of course, thus tuned with buttons. We counted 16 in total. The cabin is noticeably tight, however, meaning claustrophobic customers might find it a difficult place in which to spend time. The GT has 5 drive modes, ranging from wet to V-Max, with normal, sport and track in between. To begin with, Ford engineers suggest we try sport. We re-at the track just outside Salt Lake City, USA, and have only 6 laps to get to know this car before embarking on a longer road drive. This is not a time for messing about, not when you've got more than 600 bhp under your right foot and a £450,000 sticker price above your head. Thumb the starter button and an almighty noise emanates from behind the driver's seat. Pulling the right-hand gearbox paddle towards us sees a big number 1 appear within the digital dashboard, and by simply releasing the brake pedal, heavy, meaty underfoot, we re-away, simple as that. The ride is firm but beautifully damped as we rumble out of the pit lane and onto the circuit. But it has the noise, and the subsequent eruption of acceleration that occurs when you select second, third and fourth, that are the dominant sensations. The steering is heavyish but ultra-direct, and although there is a slight amount of body roll upon turn-in, the chassis is fantastic. There is loads of grip and bite from both ends, giving an extraordinary amount of control. Understeer is entirely absent to begin with, and the way the GT stops is just ridiculous. As is the way it goes, in fact, as we soon discover when we finally open it up properly down the back straight. Jeepers creepers, it goes hard, and very, very fast. The GT's straight-line acceleration is right up there with the very quickest cars on sale today. With a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 2.8 seconds and a 216 miles per hour top speed, it tests on par with the recently updated Lamborghini Aventador S. It tests perhaps not quite as bombastic as the, less expensive, McLaren 720S, but it tests still massively fast by most other standards. However, the noise it makes, plus the sheer grip it develops, is utterly incredible. In these specific respects there is nothing else out there like the Ford GT. Not at any price. After 3 laps we come back into the pits and engage track mode, which drops the ride height by 50 mm in one single, dramatic, quarter-second thump. It hunkers down and, perhaps surprisingly, looks even meaner and more aggressive than it is normally. Heading back to the circuit is an eye-opening experience, too, as we discover a car that has even more control and less body roll. The stiffness goes up by a staggering 100% in track mode than before. It now stops, steers and changes gear with even greater precision. But herein lies the problem. As a track machine, the new Ford GT is almost certainly a full-bodied, 5-star car. Yet as we pull away from the circuit and onto the Utah tarmac, the GT feels and sounds curiously unrefined for a pound 400k plus supercar. It rides quite well if you select comfort on the electronic dampers, but at the same time it feels too wide, too big, too cumbersome, and it is simply too noisy to be properly usable on the public road. That is a problem because, as we discussed, Ford wants these cars to be driven, not squirreled away for a sunny day. The GT also has the most pathetic boot we've ever seen, all 11.3 liters of it. It has barely enough for a small bag, and given the cramped cabin, you want to place much more inside there, either. Even an Aventador manages a respectable 140 liters in its nose, while a 720S claims more than twice that. Plus, the GT's sub-150-mile real-world fuel range, despite a 57.5-liter tank, means you'll be on first-name terms with your local petrol station cashier. We managed 15 to 17 miles per gallon on test, which even given the Ford S Focus as a race-prepped car for the road, is pretty disappointing.